Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to another episode of Moonbreaker. In today's episode we're going to be looking at the top 5 most improved crew since Command & Control has come out. So these aren't necessarily going to be the 5 best crew in the game, they're going to be the 5 crew that have changed the most from the previous version to the current version of the game. So who's got the biggest glow up? Who's changed, who's gone from being the side, the bargain bin, the left of the wayside, sat on the bench, to being in so many rosters that you'll see them most games. So I'm really keen to jump into this and have a bit of fun just talking this through. If you want to support the channel, please do hit that subscribe button, subscribe to Patreon down below, and let me know in the comments if you agree with this list, or if not, who you think should be on it. So the first thing we look at is a couple of honourable mentions, and the first one we've got here is the one, the only, Taurian Guardian. So Taurian started out as being played in a few lists. It was one of my favourite units. I played it quite a lot in at early stages of Moonbreaker. Then the meta shifted and it got a little bit left behind. It didn't get seen play. It didn't see play quite as often. It was 40% accuracy debuff, whereas now it's up to 60. It was 4 cost, now it's down to 3. And now, because of all this, so there is an increase of AoE damage, but to compensate for that, Taurian got that 20% accuracy buff, and it's also a unit that generates Cinder but doesn't use it. Really useful thing to find in these lists, because essentially if you generate a couple of Cinder but you use a couple of Cinder, you don't get anything extra from that. But if you generate Cinder and you don't use it, it's a really nice little boost to add something to Taurian's roster. So Taurian only didn't make the list because it was seen in some lists previously, not at the sort of top tables but occasionally here and there, and now I think we're seeing a lot of Taurian on the battlefield. So first honourable mention goes to Taurian. The second one is Arya. So the only reason Arya doesn't make it onto the list is because Arya started seeing some play towards the end of the last format. You start seeing her here and there as other units lost damage and that sort of thing, and so Arya has always felt like her cost was a bit prohibitive. It was a bit it was a lot to pay for only 2 damage per turn. However, now with Ambush, that changes so much with Arya, because Ambush makes stillness better. You can just put yourself down, you can use the ability once, and because of Ambush you can get that angle that you need to for the rest of the game. So Arya has really shot up the ranks. I actually think now you see her in most lists. The fact you're not competing with the early drops because you can place a couple of drops here and there and you're getting 3 leadership per turn, for me makes Arya feel so much better than she used to be. I'd say she's a staple in most lists now. I'd probably put her in as many, I'd say probably nearly 50% of my lists have an Arya in, and I think that's really good. I think it's a great spot to be in. So she just missed out just because she was seeing some play towards the end of it, but there is Arya, a really nicely improved unit. Her stat line hasn't actually changed, and nothing's changed as far as I'm aware. Maybe she lost a bit of health, I'm not quite sure, but it's her utility that's really sort of shot up there. So first of all, on our list, at number 5 we have Tona Mystic Manteo. So Tona was seen in some Extilior lists previously. It was very much a sort of, send Extilior into the front line, send Tona running off around in circles at the back of the map somewhere, and restore some health. That's pretty much all Tona ever did, whereas now there's a few different parts to it. Because Tona can run off to other parts of the map, you can leave Tona on a backfield objective, you can score points with it every single turn. You can use that to have a secondary bit of value there, but also Cinder economy is really important. There's a lot of units that use a lot of Cinder, and you want to be able to have as many options as possible. And now plus 3 Cinder per turn not only fuels those units, but also fuels Tona's own ability. So with Tona alone, without spending any resources, you're gaining 3 health per turn on your captain. It really does add up, and it starts to make, if you've seen actually my previous video, a nearly unkillable Extilior was like a really hard thing to work way through, and it's really powerful. So Tona, not in every single list, but it's a huge shoot up from being nearly unplayable and played in a couple of niche lists to making it to number 5 on the list. Over to number 4, we've got Savria Safeguard. So Savria has had a huge change in abilities. She is essentially, in a datasheet, essentially she has gone from 4 cost down to 2. So the Cinder generation is, nice, but not a huge deal on this. It's only 1. She uses 1 here and there, but going from 4 to 2, Savria is played very regularly. It's nice to have that Cinder generation if you don't need it. It's a fairly good defensive body. You can protect the unit you most want to keep safe, Savria is seen a lot more often now, and honestly, I can't wait to put her in more rosters. I think she's a fantastic unit, and I'm going to be playing her more and more in the future, especially when I come to trying that unkillable exterior list myself. But really, really great unit. Hopefully you're going to get more use out of her, and don't be put off by what she used to be before. Try her out now and you'll see how much better she is. Over to number 3, and number 3 we have Jailbreak. So this is another one where the cost is the big thing that's changed here. In fact, the only thing that's changed, but Jailbreak has now gone down to 2, and it is a huge difference. Very cheap, very affordable. But the biggest change for Jailbreak isn't actually the cost, it's actually the assists. With assists being removed from the game, there are so many less opportunities for your opponent to remove a Jailbreak from your unit. If they aren't playing Zax, they need to have either Crankbait or a Chuck and Co on the battlefield to have a chance at even getting away from a Jailbreak if they can't kill it. And 8 health, it's not the most in the game, but it's actually quite a lot of health to try and chew through. So Jailbreak has shot up in a lot of lists. For the ability alone, 2 leadership to place a unit down that can then block things in place. I love movement shenanigans in this game, and I think Jailbreak is fantastic. I can't wait to get more use out of him going forwards, and hopefully I don't see too many of them against me. I'm regularly trying to play Chuck and Co or Crankbait a lot earlier than I otherwise would, in fear of a Jailbreak, in fear of a Turncoat, and I really think that that's something we're going to see a lot more of. But Jailbreak is absolutely up there for lists that want to close those gaps. Coming at number 2 for me is Crankbait. We've mentioned it before. So here's the thing about Crankbait. Crankbait actually got more expensive, so gone from 3 cost up to 4, and it's still played way more than she ever used to be. Crankbait barely ever saw play. It was a very niche pick. It was mostly only ever in exterior lists. You didn't really feel like she had a home. The 1 damage wasn't very impactful, and now it's still not impactful with the damage, but there are those things, those turncoats, those Jailbreaks, those things that you need to really get away from, or even just pulling an enemy unit out of position, and generating 2 Cinder while you do so means that Crankbait is a great support character. You get that utility while also getting the resources to use the things to follow it up. So Crankbait has shut up. I play Crankbait in almost every single list now. I think one or the other, Crankbait or Chuck and Co, should be in almost every single list you do, if not sometimes both. So Crankbait, huge shoot up to being on in the rosters. Great unit. And number 1 for me, the one unit that I think has gone the furthest from being basically unplayable to now being, I'd say, a fairly solid staple unit in a lot of lists, is Detonia. So she has shot up in the rankings, absolutely flown from the trash pile. Nobody played Detonia. She was 2 to play and then 2 to activate every single turn, but that stopped you deploying any units almost every single turn. And now the fact that she can just be played on turn, whenever you want really, you can play on the starting turn if you want to, and that she generates a resource and you only uses 2. You could say play her and Arya, activate both in a turn, her and an Axel Pyro, save a leadership for another turn. Detonia is so useful. That AoE early on is fantastic. It's really powerful, and her range to me seems massive, absolutely massive. So Detonia is my biggest winner of this format. I think she has shot up the rankings further than anyone else. I don't think she's necessarily the best unit in the game. She might not even be the best unit on this list, but she has had the biggest change from unplayable to top tables in just one big patch. So there you have it. That's my opinion on the 5 best glow ups for Command and Control. If you agree, let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your opinions. If you don't, I'm even more intrigued. I want to know who you think has come further than Detonia has. If you enjoyed this, please do hit that subscribe button. Go check out the Patreon down below. Any way you can support is greatly appreciated. But most importantly, thanks for watching and have a good day.